Number 7, request for special event signage, Knights of Columbus, July 20th, vendor fair.
Knights of Columbus is holding a vendor fair on July 20th at their building. They would like to post, it's an indoor flea market, so there's really no special event use because there will be nothing outside their building. And they just want additional signage throughout the community, the typical lawn signs. So zoning just wants our sanctions on that. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, request for special event, Jersey Charm, June 30th, grand opening.
Jersey Charm is a coffee place over on 415 Route 9. They are having a grand opening on Sunday, June 30th. The time frame is 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's across the street from the McDonald's in the Trey Chic Plaza. There will be samples, music, raffles, and a ribbon cutting at 11:30 for those committee members that would like to attend. We just need a motion for them to do that.
On Sunday?
Sunday, yes.
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Pardon me. Number 9, disposal of tires, disposal fee, County of Ocean charges.
Okay, the County of Ocean we're allowed to bring per person or per resident 4 tires to the recycling center. It is currently cost us approximately $2,300 that is up through April of this year to dispose of tires that the residents are dropping off. We come to find out that the county now imposes a fee for those tires when you go and dispose of your tires through the county recycling center, and you can accepts up to 5 tires per resident per day at the cost of $2 per tire. So the recycling coordinator and our director of public works is asking the town to consider instituting the same ordinance. It will not cover 100% of our costs, but it will help us recoup some of those costs.
What would it take to cover 100%?
I will have to ask that question because I don't know how many that $2,300 how many tires that was. They felt to go in line with what the county does.
All right.
That's what they felt to do, is do the same thing that the county did.
We can always adjust it if necessary.
Yeah.
Take a motion on this?
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving right along into township meeting.
Can we have a motion to adjourn? Anybody have any add-ons on this agenda?
No.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Move
then?
it.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Excuse me, okay. Adequate notice for this evening's meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to the public laws of 1975. Said notice was advertised in the Asbury Park Press and the Beacon and was posted on the bulletin board showing the time and place of meetings. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First reading, 2019-09, authorizing a lease of property for the Pheasant Homeowners Association.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing the lease of Block 1024.13, Lot 5, to the Pheasant Run Homeowners Association for gardening or recreational purposes pursuant to NJSA 48:12-15. This has been a 25-year lease that is now expiring as of this year. The new lease will be for 25 years, so it will expire in 2044. I'm not sure if any of us will be here on the committee at that time. And I did contact them. They are interested in still using this common property, as they call it, in the middle of one of their cul-de-sacs as a gardening. And I just was looking to renew the lease.
Move it.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Move to the second reading of ordinance 2019-08, amending chapter 261 parks.
An ordinance of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 261-13 entitled Swimming. This is to institute all the new rules and regulations and stipulations with the new inflatable water park. This is second reading. We need to open the floor to any public comments on this ordinance.
Any public comment?
Seeing none, motion to close the floor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll take a motion on this?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Giuliano?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-175, reappointing Damian Murray as the municipal court judge.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, reappointing Damian Murray as the municipal court judge for the Township of Lacey. This is a 3-year term and it expires June 30th of 2022.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-176, reappointing Dan McGill as Director of Public Works.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, reappointing Dan McGill as Director of Public Works for the Township of Lacey. This expires December 31st of 2019.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-177, appointing Nancy D'Amico as Deputy Treasurer Assessor.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appointing Nancy D'Amico as Deputy Tax Assessor for the Township of Lacey. Nancy happens to be in the audience with us tonight. She has been working with us since 1998, that's what I thought, so she's, yeah, so she will be taking over the role as Deputy Assessor, which has been vacant for a number of years. It's a 4-year appointment.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Resolution 2019-178, appointing seasonal employees for the Department of Public Works.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the employment of seasonal employees for the Department of Public Works. These are the summer kids that work for us through the summer. Through the efforts of the school, we had trouble getting kids this year. The school helped us via advertising in their guidance office. We're appointing Kevin Hayes, Tyler Flynn, and John Sokoloff.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
Okay, I need to add on a resolution here before we go to the next resolution, just for consistency purposes here. We need to amend the resolution we did in January when we appointed our township attorney. Our named township attorney is no longer with the firm, so at this point I need a resolution of the Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Lauren Stager of the firm Gilmore Monahan as township attorney. This will be through June 30th, 2019.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
All right, now we can move on to the agenda item.
Okay, Resolution 2019-179, authorizing the execution of the agreement with Lawrence Stager as Township Attorney.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an agreement with Lawrence Stager Esquire of Rothstein, Mandel, Strom, and Helm as Township Attorney for the Township of Lacey, effective July 1st, 2019.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Okay. Resolution 2019-180, authorizing the execution of agreement with the Board of Education for Class 3 Special Officers.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an interlocal services agreement with the Lacey Township Board of Education for Class 3 Special Law Enforcement Officer Program. Last year, we were in a shared services with the school. It expired, it actually expires June 30th of this year. This is renewing the agreement with regards to the Class 3 Special Law Enforcement Officers, and it is for a 3-year term. The school will be obligated to reimburse the town in the 2019-2020 school year $112,320, the 2021 school year in the amount of $116,640,000, and 21-22 in the amount of $120,960.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-181, awarding a contract for roadside deer removal.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, awarding a contract for roadside deer carcass removal to Kelly Winthrop Incorporated. This is the low bidder for the removal of deer on municipal streets. The county also uses the same company, and so does the state. It's $35 per deer when a removal needs to be done, and it is expires October 4th of 2020.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-182, awarding a contract to C.J. Hess for the Laurel Boulevard Road improvements.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, awarding a contract to C.J. Hess Incorporated for the 2018 New Jersey DOT grant project for the Laurel Boulevard Road Improvement Project. There was 2 bids received on June 6th with regards to this project. Low bidder, which is the base bid plus alternate number 1, is awarded in the amount of $517,799.92. We received $525,000 from New Jersey DOT for this project. Of course, we can only spend what our awarded contract amount is, and hopefully there won't be any overruns. This should be starting the first week in July. Mr. Kennis was motion. Who is the second?
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-183, awarding a contract for David Clark for the CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Program.
Right there, it is going to be all pro. It's not David Clark, unfortunately, so there was a different contractor there. It's a resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, awarding a contract to All Pro Contracting under the terms and conditions of the Community Development Block Grant Program to provide a housing rehabilitation program. The Township of Lacey had sought funding through Community Development Block Grant out of the county, which then goes to the federal government for housing rehabilitation for affordable housing in low-income people in our communities here. There is and again, it's for roofs, doors, windows, HVAC, those kind of things. And there is a house that qualified, and All Pro Contracting is the low bid, and it will be $21,650 worth of energy-efficient improvements to that low-income household.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-184, authorizing tax collector to hold electronic tax sale.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the tax collector to hold an electronic tax sale. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-185, fixing the cost of the tax sale mailing.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, fixing the costs for the in lieu tax sale mailings at $25 per mailing.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-186, adopting a cash management plan.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, adopting a cash management plan for the year 2019.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-187, renewing the plenary retail consumption licenses.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, renewing plenary retail consumption licenses in the Township of Lacey. This is effective July 1st and runs through June 30th of 2020. Retail consumption licenses are those that are the restaurants in town. There is an amendment that I put on your desks here this evening. Those that are being renewed tonight are Caffrey's, Captain's Inn, Applebee's, Joey Harrison's, Il Giordano's, Route 9 Restaurants, which is a pocket license, as CB at Lacey, which is Charlie Brown's, and Caffrey's is an inactive license at this point.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
I don't have no interest in any of these, do I?
That is correct, sir. And
It's,
Mayor
Good
McDonald? No, it's.
that's a yes, right?
That's a yes with no yes.
Yes.
And that's me, yes.
That's a yes. And Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
So why don't you,
Are we repeating this?
No, they're different. Distribution, consumption, distribution, and flow.
Consumption, oh.
gotcha.
All right, resolution 2019-188, renewing the plenary retail distribution licenses.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, renewing plenary retail distribution licenses in the Township of Lacey. And those, again, are your liquor stores. So that's Lacey Liquors, JR Liquors, and Spirits Unlimited.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes, and I abstain from Town Enterprises.
Thank you. And Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-189, renewing club licenses.
Move it.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, renewing club liquor licenses for the Township of Lacey. And those are your nonprofit clubs such as the Elks, the VFW, the Moose, the Forked River Columbian Club, which is the Knights of Columbus, and the Forked River Tuna Club.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald?
Yes, resolution 2019-190, authorizing chapter 159, the municipal budget.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation in the 2019 municipal budget known as the Chapter 159 of the Township of Lacey pursuant to NJSA 48:4-87. And this is for the Alcohol Education Rehabilitation and Enforcement Fund. We've received $3,295.36.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-191, authorizing a Chapter 159 of the municipal budget.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation in the 2019 municipal budget of the Township of Lacey pursuant to NJSA 48:4-87. And this is for the New Jersey Clean Communities Grant Program. We received $78,110.47.
Move it. Second.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-192, authorizing Chapter 159 of the municipal budget.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue and appropriation in the 2019 municipal budget of the Township of Lacey pursuant to NJSA 48:4-87. We are in a shared services with the town, with the Borough of Pine Beach for the sharing of a CFO/QPA. CFO is Chief Financial Officer, QPA is Qualified Purchasing Agent. Pine Beach will be reimbursing us $25,000 a year for those services. It runs through the end of this year.
Move it.
Smart. Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-193, authorizing the cancellation of taxes due to a disabled veteran.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing the tax collector to cancel 2019 taxes due on a property granted the 100% disabled veterans exemption and refunding the resulting credit balance. This is on Block 1901.03, Lot 4.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-194, placing a lien on the property of property maintenance issues for Block 1562, Lot 21.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, accepting the certification of the Director of Public Works concerning costs incurred in the removal of debris and cleaning up of the property located at 938 Tappan Street, which is Block 1562, Lot 21, and authorizing the placement of a lien against said property for said costs. This was a complete house cleanout at the curb, and our garbage company does not pick up cleanouts, so the resident will have a lien placed on their property in the amount of $755.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-196, placing a lien on the property for property maintenance issues for Block 863, Lot 49.
Resolution of Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, accepting the certification of the Director of Public Works concerning costs incurred in the removal of debris and cleaning up of the property located at 1013 Anchor Way, and authorizing the placement of a lien against said property for said cost. This is for property maintenance such as tall grass. It is in a lienable amount, in the amount of $68.88.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-197, placing a lien on the property for property maintenance issues for Block 803, Lot 15.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, accepting the certification of the Director of Public Works concerning costs incurred in the removal of debris and cleaning up of the property located at 807 Maple Road, and authorizing the placement of a lien against said property for said costs. Again, property maintenance for the lack of mowing their grass, $68.88.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald.
Yes. Resolution 2019-199, authorizing the refund of the municipal dock stuff.
Can we do 197 first?
Yeah.
I think,
Did I screw it up?
Yeah.
198 or 197?
197, I think. Because I have another
Oh, okay. I
710
jumped
Bowsprit.
ahead. I jumped ahead.
There's so many of them.
Which one am I doing?
Bowsprit, this one?
Okay. 198.
Right, yeah, 190, is it?
yeah, no, he read the wrong
Okay,
lot
jumped.
lot, but you read the right resolution.
okay, gotcha.
So what am I doing here?
So,
One-
read this one again, it's the
Okay,
same one.
resolution 2019-198, placing a lien on the property for property maintenance issues for Block 151, Lot 3.
No, on 803 lot 15, right?
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
803 lot 15.
Oh, so you know,
Are they in the
Let's
order?
just start the meeting over.
just do yours.
All right, so we're going to do resolution 197. And it's resolution of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, accepting the certification of the Director of Public Works concerning costs incurred in the removal of debris and cleaning up of the property located at 710 Bowsprit Point and authorizing the placement of a lien against said property for said cost. Again, property maintenance due to lack of mowing the grass, $68.88.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald? Now we're going to go
Now
to
there's another,
Block 151, Lot 3. Is there a typo there again?
Okay, resolution 2019-198, placing a lien on the property for property maintenance issues for block 151, lot 3.
Right. Okay. Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, accepting the certification of the Director of Public Works concerning costs incurred in the removal of debris and cleaning up the property located at 805 Harbor Road and authorizing placement of the lien against said property for said cost. Again, property maintenance issues, and it's $68.88.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
If our residents would just mow their grass, we wouldn't have to do this.
Pay a kid $50, you save a few dollars.
the liability. Oh, them,
Yeah,
yes.
pay a
I thought
kid
you
to
meant
pay
the
a
town.
pet for $50, you save some money. Resolution 2019-199, authorizing a refund of a municipal dock slip.
Resolution Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing release of monies charged for a municipal dock slip. I have 2 dock rentals that have sold their boats. I prorated the amount because the contract started April 1st, so they're getting, the boats have been sold, and they're both getting a portion of a refund.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald.
Yes, resolution 2019-200, authorizing the refund of deposits.
Resolution to Township of Lacey County, Ocean State of New Jersey, authorizing refund of deposits held for the use of municipal facilities.
Move it.
Move it. Second.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Resolution 2019-201, authorizing the payment of township bills.
Resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the payment of township bills in the amount of $6,681,179.43.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes, with noted abstentions, G 2200, H 1572, O 1021, and U 4498.
You got that one too? Sorry. And Mayor, Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald?
Yes, with extensions on D0400 and H2746. Motion to approve township meeting minutes of May 23rd,
Monthly reports.
monthly reports. I'm having a bad night. Monthly reports.
Okay, Municipal Clerk's Office for the month of May, it collected receipts in the amount of $23,801.04. For the month of April, Community Development collected receipts in the amount of $55,314. For the month of May, Community Development collected receipts in the amount of $68,274.50. For the month of May, road opening permits were collected in the amount of $1,620. Recycling commodities in the amount of $725. Truck parking was $25. And for the month of April, municipal docks were collected in the amount of $30,800. Municipal court for the month of May were collected in the amount of $42,935.28. Motion to accept the reports is read.
Move it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve township meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2019.
Move it.
Have a second?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, motion to approve caucus meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2019.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve membership of the Forked River Lion Volunteer Fire Company for Kevin Hayes.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve raffle license application for the Knights of Columbus, Lacey Historical Society, Lacey Elks, BPOE, and Lacey Football Foundation.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comments from the committee?
Can I do a few
Ed.
add-ons?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a few add-ons.
Thank you. All right.
First is an ordinance that we're required to adopt with regards to a portion of our plan endorsement approval. It's an ordinance number 10. It's an ordinance of the Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, creating Chapter 247 of the Township Code of the Township of Lacey entitled Outdoor Landscape Water Conservation Ordinance. And again, this is a requirement of our plan endorsement approval via the New Jersey DEP.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald.
Yes.
Next, I have a resolution number 203. It's a resolution of the Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, authorizing the execution of an agreement with an employee for the Township of Lacey. This is an employee who is leaving us, and this is a severance agreement. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes.
Next is Resolution 204. It's a resolution of Township of Lacey, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appointing Edward Seeger as tax assessor for the Township of Lacey effective July 1st, 2019. Motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
And Mayor McDonald.
Yes.
That is all I have to add on.
You sure? Okay. Comments from the committee. Deputy Mayor Kennis.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple business items. Today, the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, allowed the transfer of the license to basically Holtec. And I just want to read a couple things from their statement. The NRC staff considered Holtec's, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, again, it's not Holtec, it's a parent company, but whatever. The NRC staff considered Holtec's technical and financial qualifications, the adequacy of the decommissioning trust funds to complete the decommissioning of the plant, and the adequacy of the plans to manage the on-site storage of spent fuel. The staff concluded that Holtec met the regulatory, legal, technical, and financial requirements to obtain the license. So what this means is that the NRC approved them to take the license, so they still have to close on the property, but in essence, they own the property. And we finally had word back from the Department of Transportation regarding the traffic light at
Taylor?
Route 9 and Taylor Lane. Taylor? Taylor. We can't move it. We can't take it down, and we can't turn on red, is what their conclusion was. We're going to try going back one more time to ask them to change the signaling of it. That light has been a thorn in all our sides since it's been put up, but it's not going anywhere. And I guess while I'm on the topic of traffic lights, we're still in the glacial process of acquiring property. We have to condemn property for the traffic light at the corner of Lake Barnegat Drive and Haynes Street. That's all I have, Mayor.
Freeman Giuliano.
Thank you, Mayor. Riding down, I guess everybody's seeing Lidl's coming along nice. They're doing a great job over there. It's really gonna be, I didn't think the building was that big, but I guess it's gonna, parking lot is, looks like it's gonna house a lot of cars there, which is good. We were able to attend the fishing derby, which was in the honor of Terry Stewart, which was to all the volunteers, the Lacey Fishing Club, the Municipal Alliance. Thank you very much for doing a great job. All the families, you know, they all enjoyed it there, and got to walk around there and see, and all the kids, just watching the kids' faces catch them fish, were really great. Thank you to all our volunteers in the town. Everybody from the volunteers to the workers to the police department, everybody that has something to do with Lacey Township. And that note, you know, we lost a wonderful volunteer and a veteran in our town, Bill Moss. Touched my heart. Every time we had a meet, right before a meeting, he would stop by my house and talk about a few things before we came here, and his concerns were. So, my man, rest in peace. God bless you. Happy summer to everybody, and remember to keep abreast of all the people bicycling and walking in town. A lot of times I've been around to a different meeting. A lot of people have asked, lately I've been going with my wife. She's conning me into going to these yard sales, so I've been going to it. And a few people have, yeah, believe that, you know. I got myself a birdhouse. She wanted one of those blue marlin birdhouses, so I got one there, so I put it up.
Purple Martins.
That's it. That's it. See that?
Close. Fish and a car.
But, you know, everybody in the town, you know, when they said different things, everybody in the town has a right to come here to speak about anything they want to. And that's what we're here to hear, your questions, your thoughts. So, you know, pass it around. If somebody has a problem out there, instead of holding it in, and come to this township meeting. I mean, that's what we're here for. I look out there sometimes and there's nobody out there. So, you know, we think, and everybody else must think, that there's no issues. But if there's anything, it doesn't matter. It's brought to the attention of this township committee. That's the only way things will get done. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Dykoff.
Thank you. A couple of things. not gonna steal the mayor's thunder on this, but there is a grand opening of our H2O zone. It's the water park, inflatable water feature water park at the Second Lake. I know people have been very excited about it. First of all, I want to thank the mayor for bringing this to the attention of the committee, and I want to thank the committee for, being a how you can rather than a why you can't. There's always in government a lot of reasons not to do something, but fortunately, we were able to come together and think this was a good thing for the township, and I think it will be. We always want, a lot of complaints about there's nothing to do, nothing to do. This is going to be a nice addition to the township. As Deputy Mayor Kennis mentioned, the transfer of the license went from Exelon to Holtec. And, that doesn't stop things. And with that in mind, Administrator Larray and I were at the DEP on Monday, and we were working on something that we've been working on since 2009. It's called the CZMA, Coastal Zone Management Act Compliance. And just a short explanation, the federal government required the owner, and originally it was Amergin, and then it transferred to Exelon, and that gives you an idea. Now it'll transfer to Holtec. A requirement to do some waterfront access and wetlands restoration, and in the way of oyster beds and clam beds and wetlands restoration with something called Phragmites. And included in that was a donation of land, 217 acres of environmentally sensitive land to the township, along with an amount of money to do some waterfront access improvements. Now, a lot of people over the years said, well, can we use the money elsewhere? And Administrator Larray and I have been to the DEP a number of times and asked them, and they're very strict on the compliance and what we can do. So we had come up with a conceptual plan a number of years ago that seemed to be acceptable to the DEP, and we thought was a good idea. And one of those things was a kayak launching ramp. That was something we added. They originally wanted a boat ramp. We didn't want a boat ramp because we didn't want to take care of it. Something that they were adamant about were walking trails. They want people to access the waterfront, see the natural beauty of it, informational kiosks, a welcome center. So these are all things that, they're very strict about. So we've got a conceptual plan we worked on a few years ago, so we're going to send that to the DEP, and hopefully they'll agree with it. And the nice thing, as I said, kayak launching ramp I think would be a nice thing for the people in Lacey. It wouldn't cost us anything to build, and because of the requirement that it be a natural setting, there shouldn't be a lot of maintenance. So it should be a pretty good thing for the township. As I said, just because Holtec is now the owner, or will be the owner, doesn't mean things stop. They still have to come to before the township, and I guess I can talk about the capital permit that they
It's
applied.
public.
Public knowledge. Holtec has applied for a capital permit. They need to expand their spent fuel pad to put the additional fuel rods that are in the tower eventually, and they need to build security towers. So these are all things, they're still gonna operate day-to-day business with the township. It's still gonna be there. They're still going to be paying property taxes. Of course, they're going to appeal their property taxes. They've been doing that since I've been on the committee and before. And we'll work towards that, but there's always more bites of the apple. So even though there's a transfer, which we really had no say about, there's life goes on with them. Another thing that came up tonight, and we kind of joked about it a little bit, were the property liens, the maintenance agreements. And it's pretty interesting. People wonder, well, what do you do there, And people will call the township and say, well, can you go out and mow the lawn? And no, it doesn't work that way. And I'm going to ask Administrator Larray to correct me if I'm wrong. If someone calls and complains about an unsightly property, it has to be to a certain degree. It can't just be the grass is 6 inches high. It has to be a certain amount.
I believe it's 18 inches.
18 inches. And then what happens is a violation notice is sent to the owner, whether it's a homeowner, a bank, or so on and so forth, and they are given a period of time to comply.
Correct.
If they don't comply, then we can send out the township workers to do the maintenance for them.
But if they've already been noticed once, and it happens again, we don't have to notice them, we can just issue the summons and go do the lien.
Yeah. So there's a process that happens, so,
Most of these individuals tonight are repeat offenders.
Yeah, so, and unfortunately, we have to do it, we do the best we can, and of course, our men do a good job. I think it's a bargain, but
But, so there's a process, you know, if you call up and you complain about a neighbor, keep in mind, it has to be to a certain degree. There is a process of a violation notice and so on and so forth. And I think that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman Curtis.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll start my comments tonight by thanking the Central Ocean Business Association, COBA. I was fortunate enough to speak down at Latitudes at one of their membership meetings. We often refer to it as the string of pearls. The towns along the Route 9 corridor, from Beechwood all the way down past Waretown, Barnegat, down to Stafford. So a group of these towns got together, formed the Central Ocean Business Association, and I think a little bit of an olive branch goes a long way. There were about 60 of the member businesses about a week ago at Latitudes. It goes a long way when you shake hands, when you talk to people face to face, you welcome businesses in. We're a business-friendly town. It was a great meeting, and I was proud to speak on behalf of the association and our businesses in particular. I'd like to also recognize, our committeeman, Nick Giuliano, had talked about Mr. Oh, boy. Mr. Moss, I apologize for that. Yeah, Bill Moss. He was a military chaplain, and we also lost Dr. Dela Cruz, who started practicing medicine in 1971. It was over at LUMC, Lacey United Methodist Church. So it was a loss times 2 for the town, and it was very unfortunate. As promised at the last meeting, I would have a small report here at this meeting on June 14th. It was last Friday. I did attend an Office of Emergency Management meeting down at Miller Air Park with specific regard to the nuclear plant. I have just a couple of brief talking points there. Jeff Dostal is the Director of Decommissioning. When you talk about security down there at the plant, it took us 45 minutes to get in. They also check the vehicles on the way out to make sure that they're decontaminated. So that's something that they wanted to bring up to the folks down there. Last Friday, virtually every authority in the county was down there, including our sheriff and his officers. By 2022, it's thought that all fuel will be in dry storage. The trust fund has $1.1 billion. Some of this is repetitive. I apologize for that. It's thought that it'll take between $750 and $800 million to get that job done. Jeff is in contact with the NRC weekly, so there's updates and information going in there constantly. Our colleagues here tonight already talked about the license approval. That leads me to my last item of business, which is very good news. Lacey is the 3rd fastest growing town in Ocean County, behind only Lakewood and Jackson. We grew by 10%. People are between 2007 and 2017. People are choosing Lacey for parks, recreation, taxes, waterfront. They're choosing it for investment. They're choosing it for business climate. We're going to have Lidl in here shortly. We have a variety of places to shop, gourmet Italian, German. People are choosing it for recreation. It's a place to live, work, and recreate that's affordable. We're going to continue that. Good news about Lacey, the vast majority of it, as we all know, is built out. So that small town charm, I know it's going to be here. And I know it's going to stay here, and I'm looking forward to being here for a very long time. A great place to live, work, and recreate. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me start with Bill Moss. He usually sat right there. What a wonderful human being. I don't know if anybody had a bad word to say about him ever. And he kept us on our toes. He was very good with the tax rates and stuff like that. And whenever we saw him, he would pepper you with a question here or there. Nicest man you'd ever want to meet, and he will be sorely, sorely missed. This is the first meeting we've had since the Memorial Day Parade, which I thought was a great exhibition of town pride here. I think that's all I'll say about that. Let me talk about the Whibbit. You've all heard about it. It's been out there. It's up. This came about, I was down at the League of Municipalities convention in November, October?
November.
In November. And Jim Wyland, our recreation director, was also down there, and he calls me, he says, "You gotta come see this." I said, "Okay." So as I'm headed over, I see Committeeman Cortello, and I said, "Come with me, let's go see this." We go over there, and I am absolutely blown away. And I'm like, I'm standing there, and anybody knows me, I don't like to stand anywhere for more than 2 minutes. I just get the information and move on. But I was there for a good half hour to 45 minutes, just peppering these people with questions. At that point in time, I said to Jim, I said, "Get us a presentation, and let's go from there." And from that, it's been driven by Committeeman Cortello, myself, and I want to thank the Township Committee for going forward. Like you said, Mark, let's do something. And I also want to commend Jim Wyland, because what people don't know is we had some problems with getting the security set up around that. And the first night it was installed, Jim Wyland, our recreation director, came back around midnight, slept in his car, and didn't leave until about 7 o'clock in the morning of the next day. That's dedication. And we have that. You saw it today, or you heard about it today with the guys in the rain getting the air conditioning running. I'm telling you, we are extremely fortunate with our workers. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Extremely fortunate. These guys are dedicated. You know, I asked for a sign to be put up, and I'm coming out of the gym at about 7:45, and one of the public works guys is, where do you want this sign? And how do you want it to go, and everything else like that. Just absolutely amazing. The fishing derby, Nick mentioned that the kids' faces when they caught the fish. What I really like is they caught a bunch of little turtles, and you should have seen their faces when they caught the turtles. They're like, "Whoa, I was supposed to be catching fish here, this is turtles now." So I want to say that. I also want to congratulate Sergeant Sarnas on his promotion. I've always said it, homegrown cops are the best. They know where to work, and again, I want to thank Tony's workwear for our fireworks, which will be held on July 3rd. We will not have a meeting till then. So come on out, it's going to be about a half hour long, maybe 25 minutes. We have a band going to play beforehand.
White Rabbit.
White Rabbit's coming out to play beforehand. The fireworks usually go off about 9:15, somewhere in that area. FYI, tomorrow's the longest day of the year for sun, so I'll let you know on that.
First day of summer.
First day of summer, and July 10th, right? That's the transfer?
Yes, at this
July
10th,
July 10th, we
is
will
a
be holding the
ribbon
ribbon cutting service down at the plant. I do want to talk a little bit about that. Monday, I get a text from Lauren that there's an open meeting down in Maryland
Invitations will be coming out. I just
on
found out.
Tuesday, and about the power plant. Veronica texted, "Are we taking a road trip?" And I wrote back, "Maybe." But we called down there, Lauren called down there and found out that, A, we weren't going to be allowed to speak, they weren't going to hear any testimony from us, but we were prepared, and we were going to go. I don't know how prepared we would have
We
been.
would have been,
We would have
we would have been ready.
well, we were
Stressed, but
yes, Lauren would have been prepared the whole way we're driving down there. So, but again, it's happened. There's nothing we can do about it now except work with Holtec. We've had meetings with Holtec, with communication, keeping the communications open, and that's the important thing as we go forward in this process. And we're just going to have to do it as best we can. We've got great advisors that we can reach, experts that we reach out to, and we have lawyers and guys who know land use better than anybody around that can help us with all the stuff that's going to happen. So I'm confident that this process is going to go along smoothly. We'll have a hiccup here or there, I guarantee it, but the communication with Holtec is as good as it's good, and it's going to get better as we move forward. And with that, I will open it up to the public. Does the public have any comment? Come on down.
Thank you, Tom.
My name is Ron Martin, live at 44 Dunbury Drive in Forked River. And like you, received a letter from the NLC today stating that the transfer had occurred. To say it's disappointing to us would be a gross understatement. Never dealt with a government agency in my lifetime that has been so arrogant, so condescending, so dismissive of ordinary questions that have to be answered. Have you had any of the questions answered that you submitted to them? No.
No.
We haven't either. And on top of that, found out we did a little work in a company called Lehman. You heard of Lehman? You know what they're doing? Okay. It's a great way to finance a new organization. And then we heard that there's an exemption that's also going on to this. And the exemption is when they remove the asbestos, that will not come out of the trust fund. So Yankee and Pilgrim estimated for Yankee Vermont it'd be 400 million, for Pilgrim it'd be about 500 million. The question is, who pays for that? If it doesn't come out of the trust fund, who pays? We've paid once. Do we pay twice? If they default, we'll pay 3 times. So we're looking at that. We have a response that we're preparing for the committee. And I thought it was ironic the person who wrote it was in charge of safety. And there are so many questions that are unanswered. I saw pictures that I'm sure you have of the new casks, the ones that are leaking in California. They're supposed to last for 20 years, and in 15 years, they have leaked. They're about 20 feet tall. Supposedly, they're going to be barged out of here. They don't know anything about the barge, whether it's going to be a flat top or whether the cask will be inserted into a deep barge. They don't know the route. They don't know if it has to be dredged.
Oh, it has to be dredged, there's no question.
Well,
Yeah, that has to be dredged.
Has to be
We'll give them that, okay? And the bay is just recovering from Sandy, so that's gonna be topsy-turvy. All the commercial and recreational fishermen are gonna be impacted. All of the people that rent homes are gonna be impacted. We don't know anything, and we've met with the people at Indian Point. We've talked to several other locations across the country, and we're all in the same boat. And it's distressing that that organization has the arrogance not to respond. And I find that to be appalling. So our response is going to be a unique response tomorrow. Guaranteed. No holds barred. So I'm looking at the town, and we're very concerned. We're concerned because the damn cask leak, they're guaranteed, what's his name said they're going to be certified, or he felt they were good for 300 years. Hell, they can't make 15. Who replaces the cask? Who pays for it? You, me, the town? I mean, we're not talking chicken feed here. Each of the casks, the new casks, costs $1.5 million. The processing plant that is in the Ukraine, where they have experimented inserting old casks into the new casks, was funded by the U.S. government to the tune of $250 million. Did you guys get any of that money? Do you get any benefit? I didn't see any checks coming in. So the thing that disturbs us, yeah, it's great. Mr. Singh is a hell of a businessman. He's covered every damn base going. He's even got a private fund to finance the independent LLC. That's pretty cool. Let's invest. That you and I invest in an LLC that one of you are going to create. And we're going to take that out of a trust fund to pay us back. Can't find out, because it's a private fund, what the rate of interest is, what the instrument is. They talk about bonds, they talk about equity. If they're talking equity, are you talking about a loan with an equity base on it? Nobody knows that. Nobody gives a damn. We've talked to dozens of people, and we're all in the same boat. You don't have the answers, we don't have the answers. And we're saying, wait a minute, you're going to deconstruct a plant in 8 years using a new technique that's never been tried. Demolition at its best. The old way, take a piece down, decontaminate it, move it off-site. Now take the wrecking ball in, and if the radiation is not too high, put it in a truck and send it to South Carolina. We were going to move to South Carolina, but we changed our mind. We're not going to South Carolina. probably go to Belize. So when we look at all these questions, and we look at the people in town, where are we? How are we protected? Nobody knows anything. First, they're gonna truck it. You don't have a truck that big. The roads can't take it. That's 400,000 pounds. No road's gonna be able to take that. So there's still lots of unanswered questions. And as you sometimes have expressed your frustration, our frustration is of equal, if not greater value, because we've done a hell of a lot of research, came up with really good questions, and they had the arrogance of dismissing us. Although they did send us a nice little letter. Probably send one you got, you know. I got an address, Mr. Martin, chairman of the committee, pop up, to inform you that the license was transferred today. He said, that's wonderful, that's really great. There's 10,000 unanswered questions that affect us. We've got water to protect, we've got citizens to protect. They don't give a damn. This guy Singh's got it all together. I don't admire the man. I really don't. It's taken away any opportunity for us, the town, to gain any storage fees on the casts that are there. That law is revised. So any opportunity for Lacey Township to get on-site storage, he changed that law. Congressman Pallone just initiated another law, okay, where now it's okay to have, I don't know if you know this, there's 121 sites that store spent rods. 121. What a hell of a job for Homeland Security. And we're one of them. Looking at all that, there are answers that need to be given. And neither courtesy nor professionalism have come to any of us. Any of the groups we deal with, outside stories, Indian Point, for example, they have a citizens committee. They're asking the government to pay them to act as liaison in the decommissioning process. And you go, that's what the hell you're worried about?
Yep.
Man, that's a big plan. So when we look at all this, we still have so many unanswered questions. And they're gonna start taking down bricks. And we're gonna be exposed to residual radiation, low grade. But if you get low grade for 10 days in a row, does that equal 1 high grade? We don't know that. We have no idea. We have kids. This county is one of the highest cancer rates in the county, in the state. And the Salem operation is the same. Is there a correlation? We don't know. We don't get answers. We're standing around asking what we think are legitimate questions. We asked Congressman Pallone, why did you guys let the bill go that said the towns would be reimbursed for the inconvenience of storing on-site gas? That's the way it goes. Nobody knows. So, in my opinion, the town of Lacey got gypped out of at least $10 million and probably $15 million a year in storage fees. That would have gone a long way to help this town do what you set out to do. So now we get Bupkis. And the guy who gets it is the guy who's got all the answers, but he also has all the problems. He had problems with the TVA. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, he was banned for how many days doing business? And he was fined how much?
He was banned, it was 30 days, but it was
No,
lifted.
60, it was 60 days.
And it was we finished. And we talked, we had a meeting with Holtec. Banned for 60 days and was lifted after 9.
That's, well, whether it was lifted or not, it's still.
Lifted after 9.
He screwed up on a form. If you or I did that, we'd be cellmates. That's the way that goes. He's got problems in Camden. He insulted the people of Camden. I can't believe that.
Right.
So we're looking at all of that and saying, how can they, who've never had any decommissioning experience, get into the business? We might as well form a corporation and go out there and bid for the next one. That might be pretty damn good. We'd make a hell of a lot of money. If he estimated they can do it in 700 million, what happens to the other 300?
He gets
And,
it.
He gets
in addition to which, he gets exempted for at least another 400 for the removal of the asbestos. It's a hell of a guy.
He's had a major setback in his business plan. And let me say this, is that in March or April of this year, Governor Abbott of Texas sent a letter to the NRC. They don't want the interim storage in Texas. Let me finish.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And then on last, 2 Fridays ago, the governor of New Mexico sent the same letter.
There
But
was
they don't
someone
want the interim storage in New Mexico. So the fight has changed a little bit, okay?
Yeah,
So it's, no, they spent $25 million on the application, everything else like that. They're just not gonna roll over and play dead. That's just not the
No.
way he does business.
Yeah.
So the landscape has changed a little bit.
he's
okay?
got a problem in New Jersey.
And we'll see what happens with that bill.
Yeah.
We did talk to Holtec about that bill. They knew nothing about it. Whether they were playing dumb or not, don't know. Okay, but they've been very honest with us for a long time when we've had our conversations with them. So,
I admire his business plan.
Ron, it is what it is.
I understand.
And we gotta work, I'd rather work with him than against him.
We're not working against him, we're just trying to find out answers to questions.
Right.
One of the things that folks in Indian Head or Indian Point are asking for is that there be a civilian committee acting as a liaison to ensure that, well, that's the other damn thing, there's no best business practices. None whatsoever. So if he's already got the title to the plant, there's no business practices. In industry, you'd have ISO 9000 or ISO 9001. Nothing has been done. And we're sitting down here and he's got the big wrecking ball ready to go. When those sirens go, where do we go? What do we do? What happens to our kids? Those are serious questions. I appreciate your frustration. I
We
really
are.
do. Each of you, I appreciate your frustration.
Nobody's more frustrated than us with not getting, you guys are a civilian group.
Yeah, we
I
came
get,
in,
I get, they didn't want to answer that. We're the government here,
understand.
and I don't mean to disparage,
No,
I don't mean to
no,
disparage your
that's
group
the
in
way it
any
is.
way, shape, or form.
We're a committee of good standing.
Right,
as
but
they
we're
like
the
to
government,
refer to us.
we were the government asking some serious questions too, and they just blew us off. So, as I was golfing Tuesday, I think it was, or Monday, Tuesday, with the former assemblyman, a very prominent one, and I made the statement that the 2 most powerful departments in Washington DC, one is the IRS for obvious reasons.
Right.
And the other one is the NRC, because they don't just give a damn.
They care
And-
about nobody.
I mean, they're right there with the Supreme Court. They just don't care,
Right.
you know, and that's just the way it is.
The thing, there are things like, it's in the regulation, they must perform an EIS, an environmental impact study.
Right.
How do they get around that?
They
The
get-
license cannot be transferred until that happens.
They get waivers.
And the town gets.
We don't, again, we don't get to say on that. That's the NRC gets, we have, our Board of Adjustments and our planning board, we have contractors come in, they want to build something, they'll ask for waivers and stuff like that. And depending on the impact of the town it's gonna have, sometimes they're granted that, sometimes they're not, at our level. And I guarantee it's the same way at their level.
Well, find out who Mr. Lehman was, former Secretary of the Navy. Okay?
Yep,
He's got to make, a lot of pension funds are involved.
yep.
He's gonna make a lot of money. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that we who live in Lacey can go to bed at night and not worry about waking up glowing in the dark.
Yeah, but did you see what pension funds didn't go into that?
I'm sorry,
Did you see what pension funds did not go into that?
I saw the ones that did go in, and that's scary.
So the major pension funds are staying away from it. 'Cause we'll see what happens with it.
Well, you know, we've got 2 more meetings with the press, and we'll voice our comments, and we'll also
Yeah.
have a response to the NRC.
Ron, there's no question the amount of respect we all have for you, and you know how I feel about you personally. I think one of the issues that we're wrestling with here, you're gonna come up to the microphone and start and say things like, you're worried about people glowing, residual radiation after 10 days. We have to take a step back and look at Holtec. This is an international company. I don't know them. I don't have a dog in the game. This is the most regulated industry on the planet. This is not their first rodeo. This is going on. This decommissionings are going on.
This is their first rodeo in decommissioning. They have 15 casks, I believe, in San Onofre, California, on a 20-year tag, that at the year 15 are leaking.
No, they did Zion. They did Zion.
And I think they're
They
doing
did
Pilgrim
Zion.
as well.
Zion was putting mothballs and then was bought in by, and then they bought.
This is not their
Holtec and
first
they-
decommission.
This
This is
another
not.
one, Tim. This is another one.
Right.
San-
But Holtec did Zion. They decommissioned Zion. Zion was put in mothballs for about 10, 12 years by Exelon at the time.
From a
But they
business
did it from a
perspective,
subcontracting point of view, just not to split hairs, but I'll give you that. Okay?
So, but this is a
The main
different.
question is, with the new casks
Right.
that are supposed to last 20 years, at 15, they're leaking. And then he goes and does a teleconference, and his words were, there's no way to fix them. You can't send a human in there. They send a robot in there, and we understand a robot melted.
he's going to have to answer for that at the NRC level,
Well,
which
I-
trumps our authority.
I'm not raising flags, I don't want people in town to get nervous, but I got to tell you, we're not playing with,
No,
last
we-
week's cereal.
Ron, it's not, let alone the safety portion of it, which is the most, like I referenced earlier, is the most regulated industry on the planet. It's not good business sense to have a scorch and burn and run like General Lee in the South. I mean, he wants to build relationships, he wants to build bridges, he wants to do this again.
He doesn't do it with his employees. Look at the mess in Canton. Calling his employees.
Ron, I have to agree with Committeeman Curatello. As far as, saying people are gonna glow, saying they're gonna do a wrecking ball, let's take a step back. We've been dealing with Exelon, Amergen, before them for a lot of years, and the NRC.
You've not dealt with
And,
Holtec.
okay, well, we're still dealing with, the NRC, but again,
That doesn't fly. That
this
doesn't
saying
fly.
people are gonna glow, I mean, come on, let's take a step back.
Don't put people in Chernobyl.
We've talked to them about.
Come on,
Hold on.
don't compare
Hold on.
Chernobyl with
We-
Well,
George.
don't buzz me off as some.
I'm not buzzing you off, but to say people are gonna glow, I think
That's
it's
not
irresponsible.
Wait a minute, we're not, hold
That's
on.
not acceptable at all. There is a concern, you know there is.
Of course there's a concern, and we're gonna
all
address
live here.
concerns.
And they have a way of bringing, they're gonna bring these buildings down. They've talked to us about that. It is a new technology to bring it down. I've seen pictures of it, so I'm not concerned about that part of that. They have other techniques that they're using, all high-tech stuff. And again, this is, oversight will be the NRC. We
That's
won't
scary.
have, we
That's
won't,
scary.
I get it, but it is, but who do you want down there?
But that's the game we're in. That's
Who do you
who
want down there?
regulates
You
things.
gotta have, wait a
There are
minute,
two components to
you
the
gotta have, let me
NRC.
finish, you have to have a nuclear expert
who
down there,
regulates them.
and guess who they all work for?
Expertise to do
They all work for the power companies, the nuclear power companies. So you gotta have NRC, we gotta put our trust somewhere, and if it doesn't work out, we'll raise enough hell about it. But there's nothing else we can do.
Well, we can still make some noise.
You can make all the noise you want, but you saw what the NRC does.
It's okay here.
So-
We'll call Mr. Maggot.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else from the public?
Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach. I just want to say there's a very big void in this room tonight with Mr. Moss missing. He and I attended hundreds of meetings over the last 10 to 15 years, and he would sit right here. And I was just wondering if maybe you could put a little plate in memory of Bill. on the-
That's a
good
good
idea.
idea.
Thank you, Regina.
We
Yeah,
can do that.
Just,
Yeah.
you know, because so many people knew him, so many people passed through this room, and to just give him a little memory
That's fine.
That's a good idea.
I think we can get that done. Maybe by the next meeting we'll be there.
in loving memory of William J. Moss, June
That's a very good idea.
2019. I think that would be a nice little tribute to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Any other comments from the public? Come on down.
This young lady, you had a hand up? Let her go first.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. I just,
My name's Mike Galbaby, 9 Dunbury Drive, in town here. I don't want to rehash all of the stuff that Ron just covered, but I think there's a couple things that came up in the discussion here that I would like to ask a follow-up question on.
Sure.
One of them is the point of best practices was brought up, and anybody that's been in a corporate environment or an industry for God knows how many decades now knows that everybody throws the term best practices around quite easily and quite frequently. My concern here is what we have been, our group, the CCLC, we've been hearing that facilities and/or towns or a combination thereof have been submitting best practices to the NRC and the other regulatory agencies on how to best decommission these, to kind of, you know, take care of problems that had occurred in the past, or now with the instance with Holtec. They're venturing into some grounds that they don't have a lot of experience in. But do you know of any thing that has been done by either Exelon and the town here, or even Holtec now, any type of combination of the three that have offered any best practices up for what could be done as far as Lacey is concerned or going forward?
No, but we'll reach out to Holtec and see if they have something. That won't be a problem.
Okay, you know, and I would feel remiss if, and I appreciate that, and that also shows that as when we had the discussion with the attorney about submitting something that we met the deadline on, that shows good faith on the town's part of wanting to do that. But I gotta say personally, and this is only my humble opinion, I really think it's a dark day for Lacey and surrounding communities, because the NRC is such a pompous organization, and you made a comment before that said, now you're a concerned citizens group, we're the government, and they did bupkis for
Right.
us.
That's
Well,
true.
How much pushback is given from our town council to these people who treat us like second-class citizens?
Well, Lauren has the most contact with them, but it's just on a legal basis and stuff like that. We've written letters, and they don't.
That's unconscionable.
Mayor, Jeff Dostal talks with them weekly.
Right. So that, but he's in the industry.
Unfortunately, basically, there's a chain of command, and really, in the past, we've been able to go to our federal representatives, our congressmen. You know, that's all we can do is really, I mean, we can go to our local state senator and send him in and move up the chain, but it's, you know, they don't listen to us. The only ones who they will listen to would be a congressman, and we had Tom MacArthur, you know, for a while as our, you know, champion, and now it's Andy Kim. Unfortunately, you know, the problem with congressmen, and here it is, they run every 2 years. He's already in re-election mode, you know,
But we have
which
two
might be a good
senators
thing.
that are sound asleep, too.
Oh, well, that's another story for another day.
As I said, the last meeting, when was the last time Cory Booker and Menendez were in Ocean County?
Don't even,
Well, and, you know, I fully agree with you. I mean, I
Yeah,
think we all feel the same.
you gotta pull me
They're
back.
empty suits.
I will.
But,
They're not gonna come down here. They don't, until something drastic happens.
You're passionate
And
about it.
I hope it never does happen. They won't show the face. They just won't.
But we do appreciate the ability to have a dialogue with you, number one. Number two, I'd like to give a tip of the cap to Seabreeze community for helping that population boom that we just talked about.
No doubt.
Okay,
There's no doubt. You guys, listen,
That's
I mean,
good.
you're good neighbors. There's no question about
Well,
it.
we try to be, and I think you know that, and I mean, I only jumped in on the last year and a half or so, but there's a lot of people back there that have done a lot of work that you know, and we appreciate the dialogue we're able to have. And I only want to make one other comment here. This thing about the approval of the license transfer as well as the exemptions, the exemption thing really gnaws at me. Because in the original agreements that were made with the various plants, okay, there wasn't anything in there about, you know, asbestos removal and rehabilitation of these places. So Holtec, in this case, if they're able to get that exemption and it works for them, I mean, they may as well be stuffing X amount of millions of dollars in their pocket because someone else is gonna be responsible for that. And we don't know who it's gonna be except the taxpayers.
Gotta be careful. There was at one time a national asbestos fund,
Yes.
okay? And I don't know how much is left in that, and I'm just guessing here, so please don't hold me to this. My guess is there's a lot of money left in that fund, and that's where a lot of that money's gonna come from.
Listen-
That's a guess.
Hopefully that's the truth and it didn't go into some general fund.
That's,
where they
Sir,
absconded
that's
the
my
money.
guess.
I asked our township administrator,
Yes.
well, of course, with the mayor's approval, write a letter to Holtec. We're gonna ask that asbestos question. I don't want anybody in this town left holding the bag for asbestos. Asbestos, there needs to be remediation. That's the law. That's why I don't think an international corporation is gonna try to usurp the law. They may try to get an exemption. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. We're gonna ask them in writing, straight up, and we're hoping to have an answer for you. And I'm glad that you and Mr. Martin brought that up tonight.
Okay, well, you know, we appreciate it, and the best thing we can all do is keep holding their feet to the fire, everybody.
I can tell you this, we had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, Holtec, and the meeting was strictly to keep the communications open, because I didn't feel that we'd had enough meetings. Communication's always been good with them, we just needed a meeting just to sit across the table and talk. And I said to them, we should do this about once every 6 months, and of course, we're in constant contact with them, and they agreed to that. So it's something that we're gonna keep the communications, as the decommissioning goes forward. We'll get reports and stuff.
Okay, well, thanks for hearing us out.
Thank you.
Thank you. This young lady right here.
Hi, my name is Paula Simon Schwartz, and I live at 705 Tampa Road. And as you know, with the new laws saying that there's no more parking on Sandy Hook Drive, now guess what? The problem has been kicked down to Tampa Road. So that one resident at 702 Tampa is now parking his 3 humongous trucks in front of my house and my neighbors. And there's nothing we can do. They don't move, they're just parked there. If I wanted to look out my picture window and see trucks, I would have stayed in Union County where I live. So, you already instituted 3 new laws to get him off the Sandy Hook. And now he's on Tampa.
I don't know, we don't know an answer to this. This is just a neighbor that's run amok.
For 35 years, I've heard the stories. I've only lived here 5 years, and the horror stories I've heard from my neighbors are like mind-boggling.
Right. And when we put that law in, he sat back there, he came up and was like, this is not true, none of this is true.
You never talked to him
He never
about it.
talked to Nick. And I was with Nick right after he talked to him, and Nick was just beyond furious, beyond. You know, and we're at our wits' end here. We will do what we can. We'll keep pushing them and pushing them. That's all we can do.
Well, it hasn't worked.
Well, we're not
I
done.
mean, and I also found out, because I had called the police 3 times this past 2 weeks. And I used to have 2 driveways when I bought my property, because I have two lots. And my husband and I closed up one of the driveways to make a nice landscape.
Sure.
Well, I called the police and told them that he has to move the car, because I'm reopening my driveway, so he can't park. So I'm taking it upon myself, money and physical labor, to get one of his trucks away from my house.
Okay.
But now, he's very spiteful, and if we move one of our vehicles, he'll put one of his there. We don't need to park on the street, we have plenty of room
Right.
to not park on the street.
Right.
But we have to keep one car on the street, so he won't park there. And I found out that there's no law on the books about blocking a mailbox.
That's a federal.
It's a federal,
Yeah.
it's not municipal, so we're not able to put a law on it. You'd have to go to the US Post Office to make that complaint.
So, so you, Forked River, so you go up there and talk to Postmaster General at Forked River. He knows how, he should know how to deal with it. Or she should know how to deal with it, I should say.
I can tell you the governing body has been trying to brainstorm for a while now to figure out how to best address this. And unfortunately, you run into an issue where you don't want to over-regulate and say, in your house, every adult who's of driving age who has a license can only have 1 car. they don't want to do that, they don't want to overregulate, but then you run into an issue where how do you stop someone who has this many cars
Right.
from parking all over? So we're constantly brainstorming, we're trying to find other ways to address it. It's just difficult. It's honestly a difficult thing to address.
Well, I also spoke with the police because there is a 72-hour ordinance. After 72 hours, a car is considered abandoned if it's not moved. Police cars don't move. So, and the cops don't tow the cars because they say, well, they only have to move 6 inches forward or 6 inches backwards. But they don't even do that, and no one comes and tows them. If you guys would come out and tow these cars and get them off the road, then they'd have to pay impound fees, and maybe they would find a place or sell them. They don't drive them, and the trucks are full of old tires and garbage. I mean, it's like a quality of life problem.
Right, that's
So look out
exactly
the
what,
window and see the garbage.
no, it's exactly what.
I think the only solution probably will be is, we can only hope that he sells out.
Oh, he ain't gonna.
Or, well,
He's not gonna sell. He's not. He's lived there for over 35 years.
really?
And his property is full of all the trailers that you guys made the law to get off the streets. So his property is bringing down the neighborhood's property values.
He's been very, I started handling that from day one with Committeeman Quinn when he was on the committee. And we met with all the residents there on Meadow Lane, because it started to get vicious to the kids, and it really started, and I went there to try to talk to them, you know, neighborhood thing, and I was told a few choice words, and I have a very, I don't know more, but I used to have a very bad guinea temper, they call it, and it took me really I said, you know what, I'm gonna be professional and walk away from the gentleman. And I did, and we thought we were trying to get it from the one side, but we asked everybody, and probably, and I truthfully have to apologize to you, because I never realized, and I thought after this, it would go away, and I'm sorry that it came on to your situation. But I think we're gonna try to put some minds together
Yeah,
to see what we can come up with.
It's not something that we did and we're just gonna walk away from. We're mindful of that. We've gotten emails from your neighbors and so forth like that.
Any street.
It's something we're gonna have to go back.
That's the
We
problem.
realized when we put the ordinances in,
We're gonna get a lot of kickback.
that this problem was not gonna go away. So we're gonna have to figure something out. And if you have an idea, I like the idea of towing it after 72 hours. but
First, we've got to make sure that.
Right,
that
we
is-
gotta make sure it's done the right way.
Right.
So we don't violate his rights, if you understand where I'm coming from for that. So these are the things that we have to look at a much deeper level than we have been.
Right, and I understand you can't make the street no parking because
No,
I have
no,
neighbors
no.
who park on the street.
Right, exactly.
And we have no sidewalks.
Right.
And so the cars are up against the property lines. And now that it's summer, you have the kids out riding their bikes, walking their dogs, and it's a one-way street now because there's cars parked on both sides of the street. When I first moved there, no one parked on the street. No one. The streets were wide open. It was beautiful. And now you've got cars on both sides of the street because the neighbors are parking in the street now because they don't want this choice word not parking in front of their house. So it's become dangerous. You can't back out of your driveway because you can't see. And the kids have to walk down all last week, people are walking down the middle of the road because there's nowhere on either side to walk.
I thought he was gonna come down to the town here and rent some space and
He didn't like our fee, and he accused us of purposely raising the fees just because we thought he was gonna rent there, if you recall the last meeting when he said that. We did have a spot for him, we held it
We'll
for
take-
several months, we were gonna take monthly payments, and he decided not to take it.
He won't pay anything. I looked his property up online. He's got liens on his property.
Well, we'll work harder on this. That's all I can promise you. It's the only thing I can promise. We had an answer right now, we would do it.
Yeah.
All right.
We just don't. It's not going away, I promise you that.
He's not going away.
Well,
Unless God takes
we'll figure something out. It may take a while, but we'll just watch that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Very bad.
Harry Bender, Historic Bay Avenue. Just wanted to follow up last time I spoke. Relay for Life, we raised just over $66,000 this year, which was much better than we expected, and we passed the $1 million. Thank you guys for your support, and we'll keep going next year.
Very good.
Great job.
Good job.
Anyone else in the public? Come on down.
Before you speak, Barry, I want to thank you for everything that you do for that Relay for Life. It's very much appreciated. It really is. Thank you.
Guys, good. State your name and address, please.
Paul Dresser, 70 Arbor Ridge in Flicker River.
Okay.
Just with this thing on the exception thing, I sent 2 or 3 articles out to you guys yesterday as far as stuff like
Yep.
that. In a way, as I read it, the NRC has a thing for decommissioning, which you're allowed to use the trust fund for, and this is based on Massachusetts and Yankee, Vermont, that if you have $1 billion in, say, the trust fund, and decommissioning is 500 billion, there'd be 500 billion left over. What they're doing, what Holtec and the people at Yankee, Vermont are asking for this exception, because they basically want you to be allowed to, I'm sorry,
Take your time.
You're not allowed to use decommissioning money for asbestos removal, transportation, or restoration as far as stuff. Because exemption is gonna allow them to use it for that, so to Peter's point, there'll be no issue. It's just, they're gonna be taking more dollars away, and that article reads, based on doing that, the AG up in Massachusetts is saying
Right.
again, you're gonna run out of
Well,
dollars.
what you gotta remember is, let me just say this, is that the NRC has the final say when that last money is released. In other words, they have to bring that property back to what it was before the power plant was there. I'm talking about Lacey, okay? And the last part of that, the NRC has to sign it. Once it's down, then they gotta reforest it and everything else like that.
Reclamation.
Then and only then will the NRC release the profits. And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but see, the big thing they're saying is, if the restoration is not part of the dollars you can use in the trust fund, you have to use your own dollars and then you'll get reimbursed.
Well, okay, that's the way
I
it
mean-
works. It's, they didn't call us up and say, what do you guys think of this? It just doesn't work.
The
that
other
way.
thing, I thank you for what you guys have done, I feel
Right.
bad, but I feel worse and ashamed of our senators as far as stuff. And the guy that's running for president should be ashamed that he's running for president, that he can't help the people in his own community as far as stuff like that. This is not a Republican or a Democratic thing.
Amen.
This
Right.
is bipartisan as far as stuff like that,
As one article I read said about this, as more of these plants shut down and the decommissioning goes, more senators will get involved, and that's when the action will happen. We just happen to be one of the first ones that's happening. Now, understand, by 2025, 60 nuclear power plants will go offline to decommission. So at that point in time, this is gonna become an issue.
and we got 2 more in our state.
It is
And,
what it is.
that's also another issue.
Mhm.
And what happens in 2035 when we're out of here, and somebody's gonna do something about the casks thereafter as far as stuff. if
Well, wait,
there's-
no, they have to continue that. They take that over. 2035 they just don't get to walk away, get the cast down there. No. There's an agreement. They've got to maintain that and guard it and everything else like that has to be there for as long as those casts are there. That's why he wants to put them in one spot in New Mexico, because it'll save him money on the 60. That's why I said, his business plan got in my opinion, a wrecking ball to it when the governor of New Mexico sent that letter. Because now they're gonna fight the state of New Mexico because they don't want it. And as long as the governor says he doesn't want it, that's gonna carry an enormous amount of weight. So his business plan just got wrecked. That's how I'm looking at it.
I know, I agree.
And I'm kinda happy because I know it wasn't in favor of the interim storage to begin with. And now this puts more pressure on the federal government to step up and that $16 billion they put into Yucca Mountain is to reopen that up and put this stuff in there and get it out of this town as quickly as possible, as safely as possible. That's what I look at it. That, to me, when I heard that in New Mexico, I said, okay. And I can tell you this, the people of Holtec were not happy. But I'm going, wait a minute. Now we get Yucca Mountain open again, the $130 million that President Trump has put into that. He's going to put another $200 million into it, I'm sure. To reopen it and get those casks out of these places into Yucca Mountain and bottle that thing up and take care of it. That's what's going to happen.
But the biggest thing, 2035, he has no dollars left, as far as stuff, one of the things that I said yesterday, as in those articles, he just goes bust, and then files.
Well, no.
If he has no dollars left. I
Then they'll
mean,
take, no.
They're saying after yearly maintenance on these casks is $6 to $7 million.
Right.
Homeland Security is another 5 to 6.
Right.
Who's gonna pay for that? He's gonna run out of money. And if he runs out of money, he's got an LLC, which, you know, was one of the big things we talked about as far as stuff like that with the NRC. And they said, what's an LLC? They didn't even know what an LLC was when we talked at
No, I
the
understand.
SDAR meeting. So financially, they talk about stuff. How can they say they're financially capable as far as stuff like that when they don't understand finances? You know,
It's the NRC with,
you know,
What can I
and
say?
that again, but, you know, I thank you for what you guys have done, you know, and it's shame on our senators.
thank you.
Thanks for
Anybody
your
else?
time.
Any other comments from the public?
Seeing none, motion to close the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution going to executive session.
Resolution to go to executive session?
Move it.
Resolution of the Township of Lacey County, Ocean State, New Jersey, authorizing and convening executive sessions to discuss anticipated litigation and matters of real estate.
Move it.
Second.
Mr. Kennis?
Yes.
Mr. Curatolo?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mr. Dykoff?
Yes.
Mayor McDonald?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
No official action will be taken after this executive session.